ओम ज्ञानतिमिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीकुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांतो राधा कांतो नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Once more, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। One last time. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. Very warm welcome to all of you. The last time we discussed the first half of the fifth chapter. Now today we'll finish the fifth chapter, the second half. So last time we could not record the video because there was some login issues from my side. So unfortunately we'll not have that recording. So we are recording this video, which will start from the 17th verse. Anybody remembers anything from the last class? What did we discuss from first 16 shlokas of fifth chapter, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness? Nobody remembers anything? Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Prabhjeet Prabhu.
कृष्णा प्रभु जी बस एक थोड़ा सा याद है 5.16 था कि कृष्णा उसमें कहते हैं कि आप मतलब हम जो भी एक्टिविटीज करें उनको ध्यान में रख के करें और मतलब हमें जो है सारी एक्टिविटीज कृष्णा के लिए करनी है। कृष्णा से हमें कुछ मतलब ऐसे मटेरियल चीजें मांगनी नहीं है, हमें उनसे जो भी मांगना है मतलब भक्ति मांगनी है।
कौन से वर्ष में लिखा है ये फिफ्थ चैप्टर के?
तो जी 5.16 या 17 में है सर।
16, 17 में तो नहीं है ऐसा। मतलब
इच्छा के बारे में प्रभु जी,
किसके बारे में?
इच्छा के बारे में हमारी उसमें बताया गया है।
इच्छा के बारे में? हाँ, ओके। मतलब फिफ्थ चैप्टर इज कर्म योगा एक्शन इन कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस। ठीक है, तो शुरुआत में कृष्णा एक्सप्लेन करते हैं। अर्जुन क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन डिवोशनल सर्विस एंड एनालिटिकल सर्विस, मतलब ज्ञान योगा और भक्ति योगा में क्या डिफरेंस है। उसके बाद कृष्णा एक्सप्लेन करते हैं कि डिफरेंस सिर्फ एक्टिविटीज में है लेकिन रिजल्ट सेम है, गोल सेम है। उसके बाद फिर बताते हैं, मतलब कृष्णा लोटस फ्लावर का एग्जांपल देते हैं कि हाउ लोटस फ्लावर ऑल्दो इट इज इन वाटर बट द लीफ इज अनटच्ड बाय वाटर, सो कर ब्रह्मण्य आदाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति या लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्म पत्रम इवाम्बसा. So like this, Krishna keeps giving example that a person who is acting in Krishna consciousness, who is doing karma yoga, he is on the spirit soul platform. So although he is doing so many things by body, mind, and intelligence, but his purpose is only purification, and he is detached from the activities of his body. So this chapter is more about karma yoga, like how a person who is acting on spiritual platform, how he sees the body different from the soul. And that person, although he is engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, but he knows that these things are not acted by the soul or super soul. these are acting on the bodily platform. So he can see that these activities are very, very different from his own self. So that is in the 8th and 9th verse. And then Krishna is saying that na adate kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vidu ajnanena vritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantava. So one who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, he becomes entangled, and such reactions Krishna doesn't take responsibility. Krishna gives total free will to a spirit soul, and whatever he does, like Krishna, just as a super soul, he sanctions that whatever the spirit soul wants to do according to his qualification and according to his desire. So na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam svabhavastu pravartate. So neither Krishna does any activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So everything is acting by the modes of material nature. So if any negative emotion is there, that is also mode of nature. You can elevate those emotions, elevate those energies by taking good association. So the association which you take is very important because you can elevate. And then Krishna is saying that ultimately when Krishna enters into our heart, that is the 16th verse, that when one is enlightened with the knowledge by which Nischayans is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So there is nothing mentioned about desire in this 16th or 17th shloka, Prabhu. But yeah, at least the material desires are purified. Like in the 17th shloka, it is said that when Krishna enlightens one's heart, then automatically our intelligence, mind, faith, they all take shelter in Krishna. And because of that shelter, all the misgivings, all the negativities, all the material desires, they become totally purified by the complete knowledge and thus proceed straight on the path of liberation. Okay. Anything else? So all this, like doing everything for Krishna and all these things are in Karma Yoga, which is in 2nd chapter and 3rd chapter. Mahi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmama bhutva yudvasva vigata jva. That is the 3rd chapter. So in the 5th chapter, it is more about the symptoms of a person who is doing Krishna consciousness. So that practical symptoms he is asking. Just like Arjuna is asking about Sthita Pragya devotee in 2nd chapter, similarly, now Krishna is explaining about the symptoms of a person who is acting in Karma Yoga, Krishna consciousness. So the next symptom is in the 18th verse. That how does such a person who is acting in Krishna consciousness, he sees the world. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Cheva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcast. Purport. A Krishna-conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The Brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of body are meaningless from viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. But this doesn't mean that you will embrace a tiger, right? You will see every living entity as a soul, but it doesn't mean that you treat everybody as the same. This is called achint bheda veda. Like it is different also and it is non-different also. In some attributes you have to treat them same, and in some attributes you have to see them non-different. Sorry, different, same and different. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord by his plenary ocean as Paramatma is present in everyone's heart. Yeah, because super soul is there in my heart also and your heart also. So if my connection with super soul is strong, I can understand your emotions and feelings also, and I can give Krishna can inspire me to speak the right thing. So that is like ultimately everything is governed by super soul. Even when you are taking prasadam, you are actually indirectly serving the super soul. when you are interacting with other people, then also you should treat, if you are in proper consciousness, then you are actually serving the super soul, because super soul is there in the other person's heart also. So every activity should be a service to the super soul, because then basically our life will be peaceful. There will not be any doshas and kleshas, because whatever taste we are getting, the taste of water, the taste of prasadam, everything is sanctioned by the super soul. Unless super soul sanctions, you will not experience the sweetness of gulab jamun. You will not relish it. So that's why it is said that family who eats together stays together, because they are together eating, so super soul is stronger, so they are able to relish the food more. Yeah. And that connects them on some level. You can connect on different levels: mental, emotional, spiritual, bodily, but at least it connects them on mental and bodily level. Such an understanding of the supreme is real knowledge. Yeah. As far as the bodies are concerned in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone, because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. Yeah, for example, Mrigari, he respected the ants so much. Parvata Muni is telling Narada Muni, "What have you done to this man eater? Now he is not even ready to step on an ant." So Vaishnav is very compassionate to all the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmana, and although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. Yeah. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the super soul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the super soul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, for the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. So this is the Achinta Bheda Veda Tattva, that supreme Krishna. We are qualitatively equal to Krishna actually. Krishna is also Sachidanand Vigraha, and our soul is also Sachidanand Vigraha. But quantitatively we are not equal. Krishna is present in everybody, but our soul is present in only our body. Our soul has the knowledge of our body, but it cannot figure out the knowledge about the other body. But Krishna knows the knowledge about everybody. So if we are connected to Krishna, then Krishna can empower us to know about the other bodies also. So this is called Achinta Bheda Veda Tattva. Qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and super soul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the super soul is conscious of all bodies. The super soul is present in all bodies without distinction. Yeah. So pure devotee sees the super soul in every living entity. Okay. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. So one who is not able to see Krishna everywhere, he is lost. But one who sees Krishna in everything, he is always connected to Krishna. Okay, next verse. Any questions on this verse? This is very famous verse. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gaviyastini. Okay, next verse. Ihevaterjita sargo yesham samye sthitam mana nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthita. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So this verse is telling about the litmus test for liberation. Are you liberated? Can you say you are liberated? Anybody out of you four?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So if you want to become liberated, then you have to situate your mind in sameness and equanimity. And if your mind is always stable, fixed on Krishna, then you are able to conquer the conditions of birth and death. So Ravi Prabhu, you want to read 19th words purport?
Prabhu, I am not at home, but I'm listening, so it will be difficult for me right now.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Hmm.
Yes, Simran Mataji, you want to read? And Rajat.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Equanimity of mind, as mentioned above, is the sign of self-realization. Those who have actually attained to such a stage should be considered to have conquered material conditions, specifically birth and death. As long as one identifies with this body, he is considered a conditioned soul. But as soon as he is elevated to the stage of equanimity through realization of self, he is liberated from conditional life. In other words, he is no longer subject to take birth in the material world, but can enter into the spiritual sky after his death. The Lord is flawless because he is without attraction or hatred. Similarly, when a living entity is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and eligible to enter into the spiritual sky. Such persons are to be considered already liberated, and their symptoms are described below.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Would you like to explain a little bit?
प्रभु जी इसमें यही बताया गया है कि जो मतलब जो लिबरेटेड सोल्स होती हैं मतलब उनको फिर से दोबारा से मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में ये बर्थ और डेथ के इसमें आना नहीं पड़ता, मतलब उनको दोबारा जन्म नहीं लेना पड़ता है और वो स्पिरिचुअल स्काई में ही मतलब उनकी मतलब एंटर हो जाते हैं और फ्लोलेस होते हैं मतलब वो.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. तो उसका सिम्टम, उसका लिटमस टेस्ट यही है that you should be transcendental to raga and dvesha. Raga means attachment, dvesha means hatred. You should be transcendental to na shochati na kankshati. You should not hanker about anything and you should not lament about it. You should be eternally happy. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate para. So you are not too much affected by the dualities of this material world. Then you are liberated. Nasate vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata ubhayoropi drishtantvastvaninos tattva darshini. So this is not very difficult actually. Like if you go to ISKCON temples, also in ashramas, all the devotees are so nice. Like they have so much devotion in their heart. They are following so many rules and regulations, so many rounds they are chanting. Some devotees chant 64 rounds daily. Some saffron devotees. So they are all on the liberated platform actually. Even in our yatra, one child asked this question to Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj that how are we liberated if after liberated, if we start doing some sinful activities, then what happens, and if we again start chanting. So Maharaj said that as long as you are doing spiritual activities, you are liberated, no need to worry. But then if you start designing computer games, then you might have to take a birth in US, and then again you will have to become an architect. You will become a CEO of a company. You have to fulfill that post for that particular life with all the like designations. So Maharaj answered very beautifully that as soon as like as long as you are in touch with the spiritual activity, you are liberated. So it's not very difficult actually. Only thing is we should feel that connect and proper association is required for that. Ravi Prabhu, do you remember this question one child asked?
Yeah, Prabhu, I remember Maharaj ji answered very well that if somebody is into these things, he would be born in US because US is a place full of passion. So people do a lot of activities to earn money. For
Correct.
liberation, our country is a good place for liberation.
Yes. Yes, Ravi. So if you do both the activities simultaneously, then Krishna will give you a good position according to your bad activity. It will give you all the resources to purify that sanskara. And if you are able to do that, then again you will go back to God. Thank you, both of you. न प्रहर्षयेत् प्रियं प्राप्य न द्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Prabhjit Prabhu, would you like to read? There are so many verses like this in Bhagavad Gita, right? Does anybody know any other words which is like this? Who person who neither rejoices nor laments?
Yes, प्रभु जी बाम सेकंड
Which one?
चैप्टर में था प्रभु जी एक
हाँ. सुखेषु अनुद्विग्नमना दुःखेषु विगतः स्पृहा वीतराग भयक्रोधा स्थितिर्मुनिरुच्यते. Sukheshu. Yeah.
And Prabhu, in second chapter also, when Arjuna asked about what is Sthit Prajna, then Krishna gives us a lot of answers where the person is Sthit Prajna means he's
Yeah.
totally in equanimity. No situation affects him. And there are 4 or 5 verses on Sthit Prajna, which Krishna.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Prajahati yada kama sarvanta atmani eva pranatishta. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
So a person who is self-satisfied within, he is not affected by the whatever he is getting in life, because he knows that whatever Krishna is giving, that is given by Krishna. Whatever Krishna is taking, that is taken by Krishna. So mostly Krishna orchestrates things according to our heart. So we have to somehow align our heart to Krishna's plan. Then everything will be nice. Okay. So anybody, Prabhjit Prabhu, you want to read that part?
Yes, प्रभु but the symptoms of a self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. He knows perfectly well that he is not this body but the experimental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is therefore not joyful in achieving something, nor does he lament in losing anything which is related to his body. The steadiness of his mind, called Sthirabuddhi or self-intelligence. He is therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the soul, nor does he accept that body as permanent and disregarded the existence of soul. The knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the absolute truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. He does know his constitutional position perfectly well without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization or self realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhu. Would you like to share anything?
Yes, प्रभु जी इसमें बताया गया कि जो सेल्फ रियलाइज पर्सन होते हैं उनका पहला सिम्टम होता है कि वो किसी भी फॉल्स आइडेंटिफिकेशन से भ्रमित नहीं होते हैं और वो अपने आप में सेल्फ रहते हैं और वो अपने आप को बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं कि ये हम एक बॉडी नहीं है, हम जो है एक पार्ट है सुप्रीम पर्सनैलिटी ऑफ गॉड हेड का। और प्रभु जी ना वो लेमेंट करते हैं और ना उन्हें किसी चीज़ का खोने का डर होता है और उनका माइंड एकदम स्टडी रहता है प्रभु जी। और सेल्फ मतलब जिसे हम सेल्फ इंटेलिजेंस भी कहते हैं और ना वो प्रभु जी बिल्डर करते हैं कि किसी ग्रॉस बॉडी के लिए एंड एक्सेप्ट करते हैं कि हम एक सोल है, एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ सोल है। और प्रभु जी 3 टाइप के रियलाइजेशन में वो मानते हैं जैसे कि ब्रह्म, परमात्मा और भगवान, जैसे कि सच्चिद और आनंद। और प्रभु जी इसमें इसी को हम मतलब वो कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस मानते हैं।
Wow. You completed the entire purport, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice. So actually you can see that a devotee is not joyful by achieving anything material, and he is not joyful by losing anything material, but he is joyful in doing the devotional service. Susukham kartum avyayam Raj Vidya Rajguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukham kartum avyayam. So the only joy a devotee has is doing his devotional service, associating with devotees, serving the devotees, revealing his heart to the devotees, accepting in the guidance of devotees, having proper etiquette towards the devotees. So all these things, expressing gratitude, harnessing the higher emotions. So all these are part of the joy of devotional service. The joy which comes from achieving anything material, that is very transitory, like it is not permanent. But the joy which you experience in devotional service, that joy is permanent. You will experience it again if you have experienced it once. That is the proof that devotional service is something eternal. It is not temporary. Whatever progress you made, if you experience little bit joy also, you will experience that much joy in your next birth also. And even if you are sincere, then you will experience more joy. So it's full of joy. Okay. बाह्य स्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखं स ब्रह्म योग युक्तात्मा सुखम अक्षयम अश्नुते. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. So this enjoying the pleasure within is very important. That's why our ISKCON rules say that you don't really need to go to temple every day. You can make your home as a temple. If you can relish this pleasure of super soul within your heart in your home, then what is the need to go anywhere else? If you want to preach, then you can go, but you don't need to run around so much. Yeah. So that's why everything should be congenial for practicing Krishna consciousness. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjana. Whatever is congenial for practicing Krishna consciousness, we should accept it. And whatever is not congenial, we should reject. Rakshishati iti vishwaso goptritve varanam tatha. 6 limbs of surrender. Atmanikshepya karpanya. Yeah. Yeah, Hinamata ji, you will read 21st verse purport. Are you there, or I will read? Sri Yamunacharya, great devotee. Yeah, you want to read? A great devotee in Krishna consciousness said, Yadavadimam cheta Krishna padaravinde Navanavarasadamani udditam rantumasi Tadavadhi vatanari sangame sarramane Bhavati mukhavikara sustu nistivanam cha. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. A person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in the loving service of the Lord that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure altogether. The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The whole world is moving under its spell, and a materialist cannot work at all without this motivation. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is the test in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul. So if you read about the descriptions of Vaikuntha in the 3rd canto, so there are very, very beautiful males and females. And they have very good figures, they have very good bodily figures. Everything is very, very attractive, very, very beautiful. But still they are not so much attractive to each other on the bodily platform because they are both of them, they are totally absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And it is only our absorption in Krishna consciousness which makes us beautiful, which makes us which makes us attractive, because we look like Vishnu Dutas, right? Our navel is also like a lotus flower, our eyes also become like a lotus flower, our hands become long like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all these things happen when our Krishna consciousness is good. Okay. A person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in the love. Yeah, we have read this. So this is the thing basically, that Once you are totally absorbed in Krishna consciousness, then you don't need to think about sex life, because once you have started driving Mercedes car, then you don't need to worry about driving an auto. So it is up to you how, like, what vasanas you are cultivating. So if you cultivate a vasana for a higher taste, then automatically your destiny becomes a higher destiny, right? So if you cultivate a taste for hearing from pure devotees, from sannyasis, automatically you will go with them. If they go to Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, you will also go with them. So that's why it's very important to cultivate the right taste. Yeah. Because based on vasanas only our destiny is determined. The next life, next body is determined. Okay. This is also very important verse, 22nd verse. Ye hi sangsparsha javoga dukhayo naya evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not lament in them, does not delight in them. So actually, this is the reality. Like whatever suffering we are feeling in this material world, it is because of the sense gratification which we do. This is the hard reality. It's very, very difficult to accept, especially for a devotee who has just started practicing, right? So in the third chapter also, Prabhupada writes, when he is describing the effect of lust, that the pleasure which we feel in sense gratification, that pleasure is equivalent to poison. So actually that pleasure, although you can take prasadam obviously, and I'm not saying that you should completely stop sense gratification, but you should dovetail it to, like, within the Vedic paradigm. But if you keep doing activities outside the Vedic paradigm, then your destiny is not very good actually, because you keep on doing sinful activities, you keep on repeating the sin, then basically it's difficult. Like even your taste for devotional service will also not be so much, and you will remain confused actually. Then you will not be able to determine that what to do in life, because you are confused whether you want to like stick to devotional service or you want to take association of non-devotees. So it's up to you basically. Purport. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? Yeah. In the Padma Puran, it is said, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti ramapade naso param brahma vidiyate. So the word Rama itself is so full of spiritual bliss that you don't hanker about anything else. Once you taste the blissful word Rama, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti Rama padenasa param brahma diyate. So Chit Shakti is present within this word Rama. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said, Nayam deho dehbhajam niloke kastan kaman arhate vidbhujam ye tapo divyam putrukayena satvam shuddhyed yasmad brahma saukyam tvanandam. Sir Rishabdev is telling all his 100 sons, my dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool-eaters hawks. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified. And as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Yeah. So this human life is meant for doing tapasya. When you do tapasya, then you will understand what is the goal of life, what reality is. Reality is that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. And people might think that, like sense pleasure, we have to work very hard for sense pleasure, right? We are working 12 hours, having so many anxieties. But actually, when we endeavor for cultivating Krishna consciousness, then Krishna arranges many things. Krishna arranges your service by which you can keep your mind occupied and you can peacefully do Krishna consciousness also. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. So that's why our Guru Maharaj says that we are not attached to the miseries, but we are attached to the sources of the miseries. So all these material attachments, attachment to our body, attachment to the byproducts of our body, all this brings misery. Unless we are on the spiritual platform, the misery will increase. Yeah. शक्नोति यः सोढुं प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधो उद्भवं वेगं सयुक्ता स सुखी नरा. I think 5 shlokas are. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So material pleasures, attachment can be reduced by developing purity of eating, sleeping, mating, and dividing. And that can only come when you find a spiritual master in your life. So when you experience the presence of spiritual master in your life, then you can easily give up all the bad habits. Purport. Prabjit Prabhu, you want to read? 23rd verse.
Yes, Prabhu. Perfect. If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of the material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the stomach, forces of the genitals, and forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswamis like strictly control lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses, material desire. When unsatiated, generate anger and thus the mind, eyes and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger.
Thank you, Prabhu.
ये एक्सप्लेन भी करना है
नहीं रहने दीजिए, अभी 6 वर्सेस और पढ़ना है, अगला वर्स भी आप ही पढ़ लीजिएगा, आपका एक्सप्लेन कर लीजिए. तो इसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ ये है कि मटीरियल डिज़ायर्स अगर अनफुलफिल्ड रहती हैं तो हमारा माइंड, आइज और चेस्ट सब एजिटेट होगा. क्योंकि इसलिए हमें मतलब इसलिए कहते हैं कि साधका इज ऑलवेज फाइटिंग बिटवीन हिज मटीरियल डिज़ायर्स एंड कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस. Because we cannot kill material desires. We have to a certain amount, we have to fulfill them. And then whatever is time we get, in that time we have to practice Krishna consciousness. And then we have to take association of senior devotees who are at the higher level. Then easily we will be able to conquer the material devotees. This verse is also very important. Yo anta sukho antaramas tathantar jyotirevya sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutva adhigacchati. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Purport. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from the external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? Yeah, yes. So unless one has higher taste, will not be able to give up our lower tastes, our external engagements. A liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. He can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. This state is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to Godhead, back to God. So, for example, one time I saw Radhanath Swami. He is sitting in an airport, waiting for his flight, and he was sitting on the floor, and he was just meditating on the Super Soul. So, just by meditation on Super Soul, he was able to see the entire world. He was able to understand the consciousness of the people around him. So much relishing is there, so much conviction is there, and so much happiness, joyfulness, peacefulness is there when you are connected with the self. So that is the one. Unless you have these role models whom you see, whom you understand how they are executing their life, it is very difficult to understand these verses. So you have to become attached to these role models, these Prabhupada disciples, pure devotees, and you have to see them carefully. Then you will understand these verses. Otherwise, these verses are not just theory, these are actually practical living models. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishaya Kshina Kalmasha Chinna Dvedha Yatatmana Sarvabhuta Hite Ratha. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Ravi Prabhu, आप हैं available या प्रदीप प्रभु पढ़ सकते?
हाँ प्रभु, I can read now.
Yes, Prabhu.
Only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all the living entities. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The suffering of humanity are due to the forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive this consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in the first class welfare work without being liberated in the supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he is completely freed from all sins. This is the state of divine love. Okay. A person engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society cannot factually help anyone. Temporary relief of the external body and the mind is not satisfactory. The real cause of one's difficulty is the hard struggles for life may be found in one's forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. When a man is fully conscious of his relationship with Krishna, he is actually a liberated soul, although he may be in the material tabernacle. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very nice purport.
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, as all these verses are towards that we should control our senses and sense organs, and therefore we should keep our mind engaged within, and we should, and which is called transcendental. Once we are above these sense gratifications, this knowledge is called transcendental, and we are above the moods then. And then in this verse it says specifically that the real person who is working for the welfare of all the beings, living beings, is the one who can make them aware of their position, that we are not the body but we are the soul and we have a relationship with Krishna. That is a real purpose or the welfare a person can do. Otherwise, people, what they do is they give material benefit, like politicians and everyone. They give material benefits to everyone and they want to get into power by giving them some money or something. Now that thing is temporary. It doesn't give them the actual long-term relief. And what we are suffering here, as Prabhupada is saying, is because we have forgetfulness with Krishna, so we are suffering. Because we are in the modes of knowing nature, so we are suffering. So the real welfare has to be that you have to make them realize that you rise above the modes of nature.
Yes, bro. Thank you very much. Very nicely explained.
Thank you.
So this relationship with the Supreme Lord, we have to revive our relationship. There is no other solution. Thank you. Kama krodha vimuktanam yatinam yatchetasam abhito brahma nirvanam bhartate vididatmanam. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Yeah, so free from anger and material desires, self-disciplined, mind and sense control, as Ravi Prabhu is saying, and constantly endeavoring for perfection. This is also yesterday I was discussing with my father-in-law that ultimately introspection is everything. Like, because we cannot control the other person, we just need to make our sadhana strong and then understand what is happening on the emotional level. What is the interest? We have to introspect, and when we become aware of our own emotions, then automatically we become aware of the other person's emotions also. So yeah, to a certain extent, to whatever extent super soul sanctions. So it's very important to endeavor always for perfection. My Shiksha Guru used to say that every day Krishna used to put him in so many obstacles that every day he was crying out to Krishna when he was chanting his rounds. So good, it's good actually. Like if life is difficult, it's good because purification is happening. At least it's not static.
This I realized after 10 years, Prabhu. Now I have realized. 10 years back, I was realizing that Krishna is my enemy and so he's giving me so many problems.
Yeah. We don't realize. We keep on doing our foolish things. We keep on watching TV, keep on going to restaurant. We don't realize that all these things also take us away from Krishna. But when we experience Krishna, then we give up all these things. When our heart transforms, when that love for Guru and Krishna arises. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep-rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires, despite great endeavors. A devotee of the Lord constantly engaged in devotional service, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Owing to his complete knowledge in self-realization, he always remains in trance. To cite an analogous example of this, Darshana Dhyana Samparshar Matsya Kurma Vihangama Swani Apatyani Pushnanti Tathaham Api Padmaja. By vision, by meditation, and by touch only do the fish, tortoise, and birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also. So yeah, so it's very powerful. Like if the head of the family is very Krishna consciousness, automatically the entire family is benefited. 50% is taken automatically. So just like fishes and tortoise are maintaining their offsprings just by meditating and just by touching. So similarly, our Guru Maharaj is also touching us to elevate us. So it gives a direct transformation of heart. And then it's a lifelong exchange. He might not do again or he might do again. So like when Maharaj knows that he has received so much, he should be more grateful, then he will not do it again. But in the starting point, when you meet Maharaj for the first time, he will make some loving exchange. And then by that loving exchange, you can maintain your sadhana throughout the year. Take care. So Krishna consciousness is very wonderful, very sweet. Sparshan kritva bahirvayam chakshuschaivantare bhruvo pranapano samo kritva nasa bhyantara charino yatendriya mano buddhir munir moksha parayana vigatecha bhaya krodho yasada mukta eva sa. We will skip the purport of this, but shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So this is somewhat connected to Ashtanga Yoga. This is not directly Krishna consciousness, but at least doing some sort of breathing yoga will help you to control your mind and senses. Because breathing is also non-different from the Lord. So whenever you come in contact with the Lord, your body becomes regulated, the 3 years becomes nice. So automatically you are able to deal with things and control your mind and senses. So this is the last verse of 5th chapter. Next time we'll begin the 6th chapter. So for the third module, I have convinced one Prabhupada disciple, Mukundatta Prabhu. He will take our third module of Bhagavad Gita. So that will start in February. And the second module, I'm just wondering who will teach. And let's see how it goes. But yeah, like there will be a lot of excitement. He is a very amazing teacher, very strict and very with a lot of enthusiasm he speaks. Prabhupada disciple, we are most fortunate to have his association. भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Yeah. So ultimately, Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all our activities, of all our austerities, Ekadashi Vrata. There is one song, right? Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. Say more. Say more. Yeah. Say more. Say more Jivana. Say more Pranagana. So like this. Prabjit Prabhu, you would like to read purport? We'll end with this.
Yes, Prabhu. Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusionary energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but do not know the formula of peace, or peace, which is explained in the part of Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than he. He is the greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaram Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be the lords of all this earth, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of all material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, include the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. The fifth chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as how to Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. The perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while on one is within the restriction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not practical toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above mentioned passions, remains structurally in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. But these only face perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the fifth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. तो आप एक वो बना सकते हैं फ्लो डायग्राम इस परपोर्ट का, प्रभजीत प्रभु। नेक्स्ट क्लास में आप एक्सप्लेन करिएगा कि इसमें प्रभुपाद क्या क्या बता रहे हैं और कैसे फ्लो कर रहा है परपोर्ट। दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड्स,
जी ब्रो।
मतलब ठीक है, दिस इज आवर पीस फार्मूला। ठीक है, थैंक यू। Any questions? I think we'll end here. So this purport is saying what I was saying, that this Karma Yoga is not just theoretical. So we might, what are the symptoms of a Karma Yogi? How he is performing? What are his, like, what are the characteristics? Everything is given in this chapter. So Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, everything comes together, and it is directly makes a person transcendentalist. Okay, thank you very much for all of you for joining. We'll continue next Sunday. We'll begin the 6th chapter. I will forward some questions on the 5th chapter. All of you can complete them.
Okay,
Okay.
Prabhjeet Prabhu, you are busy in the morning these days?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, we are missing you in the morning.
Yes, Prabhuji, वो अभी उधर शशांक प्रभु जी की क्लास में हमारा